Hey guys, it's Josh, and today we're going to talk about understanding the wholesale real estate business. This is my most passionate subject, and back in September, we did a 2-day long intensive in Miami, Florida, all about understanding the wholesale real estate business. And at the very end of the video, I am going to break down step by step how to make $100,000 per month by understanding the wholesale real estate business. So make sure you stick around to the very end of this video. And while you're here, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, leave a comment, and soak this all in, because I'm going to help you take your business to the next level. Here we go. So these are the 4 quadrants of wholesaling. So acquisition, marketing, acquisition, conversion. Okay. So the first one is marketing. Get the leads. That's the first pillar, and one of the most important things, right? If you don't have potential leads, it's going to be hard to do any deals. So not all leads are going to be deals. We just got to be okay with that. And the name of the game is how many leads can we get? Because a certain percentage of leads are going to be deals, right? A certain percentage of them are going to be retail, a certain percentage of them are going to be follow-up, and a certain percentage of them are going to be real deals. And that's really pretty much it, right? With all your leads, I mean, generally, after you qualify the lead, you've got one of those 3 things is going to happen, okay? I'm going to write the deal. I'm not going to write the deal because they're retail, or I'm going to follow up with them. Now, if you're going to follow up with them, I don't get hung up on, is it retail or wholesale, right? Because they're not ready to sell yet. So if they're like, yeah, I'm going to be selling my house in 6 months, I don't really want to talk numbers with them. I want to talk numbers with them in 6 months, right? Because, hey, hey Josh, we're looking to get out of here next week. We can't afford 2 payments. We need to sell this thing quick. We're trying to buy this other house. We need the money from ours for a down payment. We need to make sure you're going to close. You've got a lot of value that you can provide to somebody in that situation. You can come in, give them a done deal. They know what they're getting. They can buy the house they like, and there's some incentives for them to do a deal with you. Outside of that, hey, if I'm going to sell my house in 6 months, what do I want for my house? No matter what my situation is, top dollar. Why? Well, I'm not ready to sell it for 6 months anyways. So nothing else is really typically going to be that important to me, unless it's a very unique circumstance. But for the most part, so that's why we'll go over the qualification sheet later when we go more in depth on this part. But that's why if if they don't know when they're moving, if it's owner occupied, they don't know when they're moving and they don't know where they're moving, you're probably going to this is probably going to be a follow-up lead, and you know that right away, right? If they're telling you right away, oh yeah, I'm moving next month to whatever, right? Another town across the state because I'm getting relocated for my job, you're going, wow, I probably got something here, okay? Anyways, all that to say, guys, it's a numbers game. You got to have leads coming in your business. So I've said for a long time that leads are the blood of the business, and marketing is the heart that pumps them. So you got to constantly have new leads coming in. Now, once you have leads, the second pillar is conversion, okay? Turning the leads into deals. And so the first part of that is being able to qualify them really good, because if you qualify them and you know they're not selling for 6 months, you know what to do with that lead. You're going to follow up with them. Once they're ready to do something, now you're going to lock onto it, try to get a really good deal. But you don't have to kill yourself right now talking numbers with them and educating them on realtor fees, because they might be like, nah, I think I can get the Zillow estimate for my house, and I think I'm going to do it myself. I don't think I need a realtor. I think it's going to be really easy to sell my house, right? Just let them think that. That's great. Well, just call me anyways. It'll be so easy. There'll be no fees, right? Don't tell them. Don't try to get into the offer process and hit them with a lowball offer and start justifying why you think that's a good offer when they're not ready to sell their house for 6 months and their thinking's already like super crazy, right? They're going to naturally educate themselves over the next 6 months, and especially in 6 months, once they're actually ready to sell. Now they're going online. They're looking at other houses. They're talking to other people. They're going to start educating themselves. So now when you hit them with that lowball offer, they're still like, well, that's way too low. You're like, yeah, but these other ones, they're not getting that price. These ones you're looking at on the market, they're paying a realtor. And by now maybe they talk to a realtor and they understand, oh yeah, that realtors do cost money. You have some different things. So get the leads, convert the leads, then disposition, okay? And I know, guys, like this isn't rocket science, especially if those of you guys that have been in the business a while. Those are the big ones, right? Get leads, convert leads, and then sell that thing off to a cash buyer. So disposition is huge. And there's different ways to disposition, right? You can keep a property, you can put it in your portfolio, you can wholesale a property out, you can as an assignment, or you can double close on that. You can flip the property, right? You can wholesale the property, which is basically flipping the property, but without actually doing anything. So in other words, you can buy the property, fix it up, and then sell it, or you could just buy the property and sell it as is. Either ones of those would be options, of disposition options. And then the fourth one, and this is where a lot of the magic happens, and this is why I think probably you guys are in the room today, is the business building quadrant. Okay, so you've got marketing, you've got you've got marketing, you've got sales, basically. Okay, you've got disposition. Now, conversion and disposition are actually really similar. They're both sales. So up here in acquisition, I'm trying to sell the seller on the service of me buying their house, and I'm trying to sell them that my offer is good. In disposition, I'm selling that deal off. So it's like you just turn your hat around, right? You know, here you're trying to beat them up and get the lowest price possible, and point out everything bad about the house, and then here you're pointing out everything good about the house, trying to get as much possible from a cash buyer. Over here in this B quadrant, this is where the systems happen. This is where the leverage happens. This is where the people come into the equation. CRMs, taxes, structure, right? All that kind of stuff. That's where you free yourself up. Happens in this quadrant. So typically, people will get into wholesale, and what I see a lot of times is people are really good at these two, or try to get really good at those two right away, which is getting the deal and getting it sold. Right? But you really want to spend a lot of time in these quadrants right here, marketing and then the business side of it. Because if you're doing, a deal or two a year, or maybe even a little bit more than that, it's a marketing problem. Like if you know how to do a deal, and you know how to run comps on a property and how to underwrite a property and how to structure a deal, right? Those are these two things. You can get them under contract at the right price, and you can get them sold. It's a marketing problem is typically the issue, that you're just not having enough situations come across your desk. So once, these are super fundamental and super important. You've got to be able to know how to talk to the seller, get it under contract. You've got to know how to turn that contract into cash. Once you figure that out, though, what the next biggest thing is, how many of these people can I get in front of per day, per week, per month, per quarter, per year, and that's going to be how you're going to hit your goals, right? So you will naturally get way better at the sales part of it, acquisitions and dispositions, if you have more leads, right, to talk to, because you're practicing. Every time you talk to a seller, you're getting better at conversion. Every time you get a deal under contract, whether you sell it or not, you're getting better at disposition. Your list typically is going to get a little bit better. You're going to talk to more people. You're going to understand what buyers want to hear, how they're penciling the deal, what they want to see, etc. And then where it really all comes together is here, like I said, in the B quadrant. So if you have a consistent flow of leads, you know how to turn leads into deals, and you know how to liquidate those deals, then everything else is that business stuff, okay? And I would say that the number one most important thing here is just keeping these three together. Keep marketing, sales, and dispo simple. That's the number one rule of running your business, is keep those things simple. So in other words, I don't change up, last week I was running cold calling on steroids. This week I'm running direct mail. The week after that I'm going to run pay-per-click. The week after that I'm going to start my meetup. The week after that I'm going to start networking with realtors, right? All of those things are good things to do, and all of those things are going to get you deals, but get one going consistently and then add a second one to it, right? So run cold calls, right, for a long time until you've mastered it, until you consistently have leads in it. That alone will give you enough leads to run a business on, a successful business on. Add direct mail in, and you don't have to do it in that order. You could do it in any order, right? Then add direct mail in, get good at that. Then start a meetup and start doing that consistently, okay? That's on the marketing side. The conversion side, well, sometimes I work the offer over the phone, sometimes I go on an appointment, depends how I'm feeling that day, depends on the seller, right? Don't kid yourselves. You should have a system for how you do everything, right? So don't be the person, the guy or the gal that says what I just said. Sometimes I go on an appointment, sometimes I do it over the phone, sometimes I do it this way, right? It'll be really hard to teach somebody else how to do any of it so you can scale and free yourself up. But also, your conversion's just not going to be as good. So you want to have a specific process for everything you do. So if you're going to make your offers over the phone, make your offers over the phone. Okay? Now maybe you're going to go to the appointment after that, depending on how the offer goes. And I'm not saying never make an exception. Like, we make 90% of the offers we make over the phone. But it's occasionally we'll get that old guy or lady that says, well, yeah, I'm selling it right now. Come on over. We're typically going to be like, okay, great, I can be there in 45 minutes. Does that work? Great. But we'll still typically call her back or go, well, hold on, I just want to make sure we're like in the ballpark. So and we'll try to crack the shell a little bit or at least make a soft offer before we go. But there's occasionally where you get somebody that's just holding their cards like this. Just, no, I don't want to talk about any of that. I'll talk to you about it when you get here, right? I know in my experience that more often than not that person, if I really asked them 2 or 3 different ways and they just won't give me any information over the phone, probably I'm going to get there and they've talked to 7 other people and nobody wants to pay enough and whatever, right? But I'll err on the side of, let's get in the car and go. We're telling my guys, get in the car and go to the appointment. 90% of the time, guys, we're making the offer over the phone. We're doing it the same way every time. So KPIs. So this is systems right here. Keep your marketing, keep your sales and your disposition simple. The way you do that, guys, is you have systems. And then the second thing that you want, that's very important, the second fundamental thing as a business owner is knowing your No idea where that music came from. Do we know? Oh, it's the hotel. So the KPIs that you want to track are, these are the big 5. Number of leads. How many leads do you got coming into your business? Per week, per month, per quarter, per day even. And I'll break that down on the trackers with you guys later. But how many leads do you have coming in? If you got 3 leads coming in a week, hopefully you're going to do a deal a month. Like, by the numbers, because when you get to leads how many leads does it take to get to a deal? If you're closing 1 deal out of every 10 leads, that's like the gold standard. That's fantastic. Okay? If you're closing 1 lead or 1 deal per 30 leads or 40 leads or 50 leads, that's a conversion problem. Okay? So that's one of the things, though, that I would ask. If I see somebody, remember when I said if you know how to do a deal, you're doing a deal or 2 a year, it's a marketing problem, right? Well, if you ask that person, how many leads do you get per week or per month, it's probably not going to be very many. And that's usually the only reason somebody who's consistently doing a low volume of deal will continue to do that, just because it's not a lot of marketing. So what you want to look at is basically, we're talking about reverse engineering it. So with these KPIs is basically figuring out how many leads does it take to get a deal? And then you need to buy that many leads to how many deals you want to get. Let's say your goal is, Marquise, you said 100 grand a month?
Yeah, 6 figures, yes, sir.
Okay. So if the goal is 100K a month, it's a great goal, and super attainable in this business, then the first thing you would look at is what's your average profit per deal, to go backwards to know how many of those you need to get to that. So if you average $10,000 a deal, you're going to need to get 10 deals. If you average $20,000 a deal, you only need to get 5 deals per month to get 100,000. If you don't know what your average deal size is, pick one. If you do know what your average deal size is, pick a new one and pick a higher one. Because it might sound kind of funny, but whatever you have in your head that you're going to make per deal is probably what you're going to make per deal. So every time I'm talking to somebody who's newish to wholesaling and they're making a couple $1,000s per deal, and I tell them, what would you think if you made $20,000 a deal? And they're like, oh my gosh, I would feel like I got like super lucky. I would feel like that would be so amazing. That'd be like the best thing ever, right? I tell them, well, until you change your thinking to that $20,000 is as normal as $2,000, you're going to continue to make $2,000, and once in a while when you make 20, you're going to feel really lucky. It's just all in your head. If you're averaging $15,000 a deal, start telling yourself that your new fee is $25,000, and watch as your average deal size will creep up closer to $25,000. Right? At the end of the day, if you're talking to a seller and they're ready to sell, are you going to go lower than an average deal size if it's a deal? If you have to, yes. But whatever you plug into your head and what you start with, your auto. What's that like on an airplane? You can plug in the coordinates and the plane will automatically drive there, right? It's kind of the same thing. If you just program in your brain, like, this is like Bob Proctor stuff, but it's true. Like if you just program in your brain, like I'm gonna make $25,000 a deal, when you're sending out your marketing, when you're talking to sellers, when you're making your offers, your subconscious is doing all these things to try to pencil in $25,000 profit per deal. Then if you have in your head, 2,000. So anyways, with that being said, pick a number if you don't know a number, or pick a number that's a little bit higher than what you're at. Marquise, what would you say your average profit per deal is right now?
Right now, we're looking at about
5,000? Okay. So if profit per deal is 5,000, okay, then I need 20 deals. 20 deals a month to hit 100K. Okay. The first thing I would say here, Marquise, is double this. So try to get your average deal size, really like quadruple it, right? Because it's going to be hard. I mean, just shooting you straight, like it's going to be hard to do 20 deals a month. And if you do 20 deals a month and you only make 100K, you might get burnt out. Sounds crazy to say, but guess what comes along with 20 deals a month? Assistants, admins, gas, pictures, crap, right? Tax bills. Well, that'll come anyway, even if you do it on 5. So you might as well do it on 5 so you have time to meet with the accountant. Okay, so the first thing here is I would try to increase this. So I would tweak the game plan right now to 20,000. Okay? So profit per deal goes to 20,000, 5 deals. Now you can do 5 deals a month by yourself. You're going to be busy. If you write 5 deals this month and you sell 5 deals this month and you close 3 deals this month and 2 next month and then you write another 5 and you're going to be busy because you're going to be sending out your marketing, you're going to be talking to the sellers, you're going to be going on the appointments, getting the pictures, putting together your buyer marketing, talking to buyers, following up with escrow, right, and closing. And that's a bunch of stuff. And then spending some time in the B quadrant and looking at your numbers at the end of the month and at the end of the week and tracking and all that kind of stuff. But 5 deals a month you can do. Very doable. So if we want to make $100,000 a month, we're going to try to get to $20,000. Now here's the other thing about changing your profit per deal and trying to get to 20. You're going to have cushion here. Because right now, if your average profit per deal is 5, I'm sure that within the deals you're doing, there's probably some money being left on the table. The easiest profit to find in your business is always going to be on the existing deals. So if you do 20 deals last month or 5 deals last month, there was probably more profit in at least one of those deals that you didn't get, right? So trying to get more. So if you're only shooting for 5, there's not a lot of window. So the other thing is you might find that it's hard to negotiate with sellers because you don't have any wiggle room. Because if you're only making $5,000 a deal, you're probably offering too much, right? And you're right off the bat, there's not a lot of room. If you can come up, 40, 50, 60,000 sometimes and still make a deal, you're not going to be missing too many deals. Now, the key is, can you make that super low offer and then get them to tell you what they'll actually take for the property? And that's what you're really trying to do. So for example, the property's worth, let's just say $100,000, and you offer them 40. And they go, no, that's way too low. Well, I might have a little bit of flexibility. I mean, how close to that can you get? They might say 70, right? Well, maybe you can do 65, 70. Maybe you can sell it for 70, and you're going, okay, well, if I can get them down just a little bit lower. Now that's still too, But if you come right off the bat and you tell them 65, number one, they might come back and tell you, no, I want 90, and not even, they're holding a lot of gross, right? Number two, even if they are at 70, right? How much more now can you move them? Like you already hit them at 65. So now if you're like, well, I'll come up to 66. Typically you want to end giving them a win. So if you offered them 40 and they're like, no, I need to get 70. And you're like, well, best I can get to is 55. And then you end up getting to 60. That lasts, when you go from 55 to 60, you're like you want to be giving them the win. Like, oh, you're beating me up here. Like, this is a really great offer. Blah, 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 right? And you're like framing it that you're coming up to them. If you came in at 65, now you're, number one, you can't go backwards. And you're like, shoot, I can only make $5,000 on this thing anyway, selling it at 70. Number two, if you do come up what are you going to come up, 65 to 66? So that's why that offer, we'll talk about the offer process in depth, that you want to be super low and then get them to tell you what they'll actually take. We call that third asking price. When they do that, you'll genuinely know what you have, right? If retail's 100 and that person goes from 100 to 98, you know pretty much their retail, unless they're telling you some things that like, I don't want to deal with realtors and I do need to get cash next week, something like that. Then you can educate them. You can simply say, I know you want 100, but here's the thing, even if you sell it to the realtor to get 100, you're not walking away with 100, and it's going to take 3-4 months. Is that going to work for you? No. Okay, well, I can pay you 70 now, and you're going to start educating them and closing that gap. Okay, so now if we want to get to 100,000 a month, we know that at $20,000 profit per deal, we need 5 deals a month. The next one I want to figure out is how many leads I need to get. Okay, and if I don't know what my conversion is, I'm going to pick 1 in 15. Okay. 1 deal to 15 leads. Okay. 15 times 5, 75. $75 leads equals 100K. You guys follow that? So if I average $20,000 a deal, 5 of those will get me 100, and if I get one of those every 15 leads, then I need 75 leads to get 5 deals to make 100K. Okay? When you do this too, and you know this, what I really like about this, and this is what I tell my sales guys, when you have a day and you talk to 3 leads, 4 leads, 5 leads, maybe a couple days in a row and you're up to 8, 9, 10 leads, maybe 3 days in a row, 12, 13, 14, 15 leads came in and I haven't gotten to a deal. What I like to do is say, hey, go back to here and just know you just made, what's a lead worth here? If 75 leads is going to make you $100,000, that means a lead is worth to you, what, $1,300 bucks? Or what? So when you start looking at it like that now, when you get 3 or 4 bad leads, you're not like, oh, these leads suck. You're like, I just made $5,000, right? Because if I keep churning through these, when I get to 75 leads, I'm going to get 5 deals. Now you can get to 75 leads and you're newer and write 1 or 2 deals, and that's a conversion thing. But guess what? The next 75 leads, you're going to get better and better and better at that. But you really want to, one thing that I think is super helpful is to actually keep track of how much a lead is worth to your business. And when you're working leads, whether it's a deal or not, whether you make an offer or not, whether they're retail or not, whether whatever, put a value on that lead. Right? So if it costs you, $200 to generate a lead, but a lead's worth $1,300, every lead you're making money.